Hey, what's up YouTube? Little man with a big opinion here. Today's video is going to be talking about the different rounds that I am using for SHTF. Like the purpose I've got for each one of them. And like just kind of the numbers on it and maybe why I like one round more than I like the other round. So if you like this kind of stuff where I talk about guns or bullets or prepping or anything like that, please like this video. And if you like what I'm doing with the channel, then please consider subscribing. So let's just, hop right into this. In front of you, I've got all of the rounds that I have, minus one. Forgot to put the 9mm out there. Basically, the pros and cons of each one of these rounds, how much I spend for each one of these rounds, and just kind of, after I explain it, you can make your own decision on, maybe you don't have a rifle or pistol that shoots one of these rounds, and, this will help you just decide a little bit on it. So, starting off, a lot of people say this is the go-to SHTF round, and that's the 22. So, just for size reference, that's my hand, and pretty small round. I would say the big, win for this round is, its size and its cost. So, this is a box of 59mm rounds versus a box of 50-22 rounds. So, I'd say roughly 222 rounds takes up the same box space as one box of 59mm. Fairly inexpensive. I purchased most of my 22 rounds for about 3.7 cents a round. So really, really cheap. This box of 50 runs me about $2.50, $2.30, somewhere around there. So in terms of being able to train with it and have a bunch of it stored up, definitely the pros for this one. You could go through 200 or 322 rounds and you've spent less than $20. The drawback for it, though, is that the standard 22, the actual round, the piece of lead that's fired from it, is only 36 grains. So that's the weight of the projectile, and it's just small. Well-placed shots would definitely, drop small game. You could, severely injure, and you could, harm humans with it, but it's not, it's not doesn't have a lot of stopping power behind it. So pros of the 22 are definitely the cheapness and the size of it. You could carry 200 of that or one box of 9. So moving on, next I just have a standard, I think it's a 7-shot, 2 3/4. This is, mainly used for dove or like skeet shooting. These, a little bit more expensive. A box of 25 is about $5 or about 20 cents a round. Versus, let's just say 4, just to make it even. So 522 rounds for the price of one shotgun round. The benefit of these is the stopping power on this round. Get the hand comparison in. Stopping power on this is much higher than I'd say almost all of the rounds on this table. And that's just because you've got about 100 pellets all flying at you, and I'd say within 25-30 yards this is extremely effective. Next thing, if we're comparing it to the size of the 22, pretty bulky, takes up a lot of space. But both of these rifles and shotgun complement each other because one is, can be highly used for duck and waterfowl hunting, and the other one for small game. Moving on, I have a 40 S&W. Size comparison based off of the hand, and then you can size comparison it off of the other rounds here. This is a nice rounded round for me, right in between the 22 and the 223. Because I shoot this out of a carbine, I'd say its effective range is 100 yards. Obviously you can drop, hogs and coyotes from 150. My friend has shot one from 200 yards, give or take a few yards, and he shot it 4 times and was able to, down it first to go get it. That's, in my opinion, a very rare occurrence. I would put the effective range on this in a carbine at 100 yards. But the weight of this compared to the 22 and the 223 is definitely shooting a much higher grain, and it's got some stopping power at a real short distance. So, the 22 can reach out fairly far. The 223 can reach out very far, and just nice right in the middle round. So moving on to my next round, the 223, the workhorse of, almost every prepper. This round is a 22 caliber round, so, same caliber of a 22 long rifle. This just has a ton more power behind it to propel it much further, give it a way higher velocity, and the round is slightly bigger at 55 grains. You can get the 5.56 rounds, which are 62 grain. Gives a little bit more weight, a little bit more punch. These rounds are cost me about 23 cents a piece, and phenomenal gun, standard 30 round magazine, perfect for hog hunting, perfect for a firefight. It is bulkier than the 40 and the 22. That being said, moving on to the next one, this is definitely one of my long guns. This is 7.62 by 54R, and this specific round is, I'm pretty sure it's 174 grain. It might be 194, but huge compared to all the other rounds that I have sitting here on the table. Definitely consider this a deer or a large game. It has tons of stopping power behind it. I would put it on par with a shotgun, given the same distances. Now, what makes this better than a shotgun round is obviously you are perfectly capable at dropping targets at 1,000 yards with this. Huge velocity, or high velocity I should say, huge round, it's perfect. That being said, it is very bulky. Box of 20, in comparison to the 2 boxes I have here, takes up quite a bit of space. And then the last little bitty guy I have sitting here is a 9mm round, or a 9x19. Size comparison for you. I'd say this is a very decent handgun round. Partially, it goes on par with the 22 when it comes to a handgun. And if I had a handgun for the 40, then most likely I would be able to hold more 9mm rounds than the 40. Oh, excuse me. The only round that I don't have on the table that I do own is a 30-30. That rifle for me is strictly deer hunting. So I didn't even, grab one of the rounds, but, the 30-30 falls in between the 223 and the 7.62. So each of these rounds have pros and cons. The 22 being the lightest and the cheapest, the Mosin being the heaviest and most expensive, the 22 or the 223 just being a really solid all around round. The shotgun having phenomenal stopping power and good for bird hunting. You use steel shot for the waterfowl, but this is a good solid range of different calibers. Handguns, rifles, carbines, shotguns. And so, hopefully this, helps you decide which rounds you should add, or if it's your first time getting a rifle or a shotgun or a pistol. I'd highly consider getting it in one of these, 6 rounds. The Mosin is a, military surplus rifle, very cheap. 22s are cheap. All these rounds are fairly cheap compared to, a 45 ACP or a 300 Blackout. And I'd say all of these rounds, besides the Mosin, is, a fairly common round that you'll be able to find. Ammo for. And, hopefully this, this video was, informational to you, or it was informative. Maybe it'll help you pick your next rifle or your next caliber. The rifle part's definitely up to you. But yeah, sounds about it. So I'll catch you next time, guys. Peace.